Hey guys and gals, this is John from the Spread the Love podcast, and I wanted to come on here and do something a little different this evening. You know, I'm currently sitting in our studio room alone, which is odd because I'm used to having someone face me and having dialogue take place, so this may be a little bit of a challenge for me, but I wanted to come on here and share some updates and give you some of the happenings that have been taking place with Spread the Love. You know, it's been a while since the team met together since our previous episode, but since then we decided that we wanted to take a break, and we all have traveled and spent time with our families, loved ones. We're able to get away, refresh, kind of regather and regroup, and we've come back and we're ready to hit the ground running. If you've been following along with the podcast this season so far, then you know we've tried to embed the theme of real life stories into each episode. And we are excited that our next episode is scheduled next week. We're meeting with someone that I know personally who's willing to sit down with us and share their testimony and the story of God's grace and His redemptive love in their life. And we do believe that this is going to be a powerful, impactful, transformative, and uplifting story. So you do not want to miss it. If you know someone that really needs to be encouraged or really needs to hear of how Christ has transformed someone's life, please share. We will post the release date next week sometime on our social media platforms, so keep up with that. But please share this episode because we do feel like it's going to be one that you're going to want to hear. And we do believe that God will be glorified in it and that He's going to use this testimony to reach someone out there that's listening. I'm not going to post anything about this short segment that I'm doing this evening. This is something I just want to provide to our core group of main listeners who will listen to this outside of me posting on social media about it. But another update that I wanted to give you was that Spread the Love has been working really hard on something that I've been hinting at on social media if you've been following us. And we feel like this is a door that God has opened for us to provide our listeners with an opportunity to support the podcast and the ministry that we're doing. You know, we want to be able to do this more consistently and do more with kingdom building. And this is just a way we feel like God has allowed us to do so. And the Spread the Love team is going to provide our listeners with a shop. It's going to be the Spread the Love podcast shop. It will have Christian apparel with a variety of other things like stickers, mugs, things like that. And all the designs that are on the shop were designed personally by us. And if you feel like God is calling you or you felt nudged by the Holy Spirit to support the podcast or the ministry in any way, this is one way you can do that. You can go in there and purchase anything that we design. All of the money will go directly into the Spread the Love account, and it will be used solely for Spread the Love ministries and kingdom building. So if you feel like you need to give to the ministry, please do so. We're not using any of the funds for personal use or anything for personal resources. It's going strictly into kingdom building and Spread the Love ministries. Now, another way you can support Spread the Love is by going onto our podcast, the main page of our podcast website, which you can find that link on any of our social media platforms. I posted it several times before in any of the comment section or any of the newsfeed sections. And it's actually in Facebook. It's in our bio. I think it's on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of it. We're on all the social media platforms. But you can go in there and click on that platform. And once you go there to the homepage, in the top center or the right center, there is a support button that we've made available to our listeners. And if you feel like God has placed it on your heart to support the ministry, you can give it there. It's safe. It's secure. It's just donations. And again, anything that we receive goes strictly into the ministry and it is not used in any way for personal use. This also will provide us with more opportunities to do more with Spread the Love. We have several things in place that we want to talk about eventually. Don't want to get into it yet, but we have several ideas that we're wanting to do. Derek and I actually talked about something recently that he thought about that I'm excited to be able to do. But There are other things, and I think once we are able to, this is one way we can be able to build up and get to the point to where we can do more instead of just doing a podcast, which we know each of us personally try to do more within our individual time, but as a core group, we're trying to do more as far as kingdom building and wanting to reach people in need and help others. And there are going to be opportunities for our listeners to get involved as well. And as soon as we're able to talk about those things, we're going to. So I just wanted to throw that out there, let you guys know that there are some other things that you can expect to be happening in the near future. And we're excited about those. So now that I've given you some updates, I wanted to share a little bit about what God has placed on my heart here recently. I've been reading in the book of Exodus and reading the story of the Israelites in Egypt and Moses being appointed to go and on behalf of the Lord and command Pharaoh to release his people. And Israelites have been in Egypt for over 400 years. So I've been in this season of where I felt stuck. Like I just felt like I'm kind of constantly battling schedules with Spread the Love and trying to get things aligned, which never come to fruition. And it seems like it never comes to fruition. And it just felt stuck. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening maybe have that same feeling. That you've been in a season before where you just continually feel like you're spinning your tires and nothing goes your way. And you continually question and challenge and say, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to be doing something different. I don't know. And, I've kind of felt some of those emotions recently. And it's not because of anything anybody has done. It's just that life gets in the way, and it's just difficult to schedule 4 to 5 people in one setting and trying to create content based on those situations. Now, that's okay. Life happens. I am totally aware of that. April and I've been guilty myself. Like, okay, I'm supposed to do this today, but something got in the way. I'm not doing it. So it's not like I'm pointing fingers or anything, but I have felt that I've been stuck in a rut, and trying to get things to fall in place. It's just been hard. It's been difficult. And here is a very similar situation where Israel is stuck in Egypt, and they have been crying out to God for 400 years. And God finally says, okay, Moses, I've heard their cries. It's time to go get my people. And Moses goes over there, and to make a long story short, Pharaoh finally, after several miraculous signs and wonders that God did in there, and plagues that he caused to have happened, Pharaoh breaks down and says, go. And the Israelites are freed. And they go out into the wilderness, and then Pharaoh and his people decide, okay, that was a bad idea, so now I'm going to go chase after them and get them. Well, during all this time, the Israelites saw God's miraculous wonders and his miracles that took place so that they could leave. And when they get into the wilderness and they see that Pharaoh is, chasing them down, he is on their heels, that they turn to Moses and say, why would you bring us out here to die? Why not just leave us in Egypt? After all that 400 years of prayer, all of the things that they saw in Egypt for them to be permitted to be released and go free, they are now in a position where they're cornered and they feel stuck again. And what's the first thing they do? Is question what's going on, like many of us do. Like, why is this happening? We were better off in Egypt after everything they've seen. And don't we do that? A lot of times we all do that. We're stuck in a place after everything we've seen God do in our lives, that we're stuck in a place and we feel like, we can't get out, and we just kind of relapse back into or forget about the miraculous things that God has done to get us to where we're at. And I would submit to you that I believe that sometimes we are placed in these positions or permitted to be in these positions for a purpose. And that purpose is that God could be glorified in a place where we can't do anything for ourselves, that we are solely 100% dependent on God's hand to move so that we can move. And here are the Israelites stuck in the wilderness between Pharaoh and the Egyptians and the Red Sea, and they're stuck here. And this continues to happen throughout. If you read the book of Exodus and the story of the Israelites moving from Egypt, you continue to see the Israelites becoming stuck in situations, and then immediately grumbling and moaning and complaining, just like we tend to do. And here they are in this situation where they're stuck between Pharaoh and the Red Sea. And again, God makes a miraculous move to where he frees them again from the hands of the Egyptians. And he parts the Red Sea and they walk across on dry land. And after seeing such wonders in Egypt and knowing how God protected them in Egypt, and seeing everything that the Pharaoh and the Egyptians had to go through before they would even release them, they get in another stuck position, and they grumble and they complain and they moan. But what they fail to realize is they're in that position so that they may see the hand of God move in such a miraculous way that it could only be him who's doing it. Sometimes we get stuck in positions because there is a purpose, and that purpose is that God would be glorified in our position, that you or anyone on the outside looking in would see something miraculous happen. And the only way or the only explanation is that God moved on your behalf. So, with that being said, just know this is as much to me as it is to anyone listening, that God has us in these positions for a purpose. And that purpose is that he would be glorified. Until next time, it's all about Jesus. Thank you for listening to the Spread the Love podcast. You can find us on Google, iTunes, Spotify, or any other major platforms. Also, help us out by giving us a rating so others can listen as well. If you'd like to keep up with our latest happenings, give us a follow on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram.